Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode of today's show. Now, if you're watching this episode anywhere else but within our high ticket client attraction insider circle, definitely come check us out. That group was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, service providers who are serious about getting consistent clients and really scaling up to that 6, 7 figure level. So if that's you, and you want to be a part of an awesome, amazing community, be sure to come join us. Now, with that being said, I want to introduce you to today's guest, Victor Vento. Hey, Victor, welcome.
Hey, Extus, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you doing back there?
Great, great. Yeah, we're just hanging tight back here in Colorado, doing
Hmm.
our thing. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, I like that shirt. What does it say? It says, move on to
failure isn't
something.
final.
Failure isn't
It says
final.
failure isn't final. It's usually the first hurdle to success.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. That's a good reminder. I take it, is that for your coaching clients and stuff like that? Whenever you get in the call, it's like, hey, pay attention.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. So, Victor, tell us, what is it that you do?
Sure, yeah. So I work with coaches and consultants in the mid six-figure range, helping them scale up to seven figures, low or mid, through Facebook ads and paid traffic.
Okay, perfect. So your core way of helping individuals grow is through paid traffic?
Yeah, so we have a lot of the strategy and implementation for that,
Mm-hmm,
and we kind of take over that for them.
mm-hmm.
Essentially, generally adding an extra 10, 20, 30K or more to their revenue a
Yeah.
month, not
Okay.
overall a month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so you said what you guys do. You guys do the work like a done for you service, or do you teach how to do it? What's your process?
So we have generally we work one-on-one with clients.
Mm-hmm,
It's kind of more of a done for you service. So I run an agency with me and three other people.
mm-hmm.
However, we've recently, because of this whole thing happening, right, this whole pandemic, we've opened up and we're testing out a couple of case study groups with more of like a done for you, lower cost, lower intro level version that doesn't require as much of us, but we're taking the same process we do with our private clients
Mm-hmm.
and giving it to this lower level group to allow them to get the initial results that they may need right now.
Yeah, perfect, perfect, awesome, man. So that's awesome what you do. Now, I guess the question now becomes, how did you get started doing what you do?
That's a great question. I actually love answering this. So I'm a huge gaming nerd, right? I grew up gaming, uh, PC gaming. I know a lot of people think gaming, they're like, oh, Xbox and PlayStation. Like I grew up that way, yes, but I became a PC like gaming nerd very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like my big thing. I actually went to school for game design and development. I created a game back there,
Oh, you
which is
did?
super fun. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I know not a lot of people know that about me.
Uh-huh.
Um, so then, like through a couple of other things, like other hobbies and habits after graduation, I worked with a software company for development, and I kind of did wore many hats in that company. Right, it was a small. We were a team of 10, and I was more of like a consultant for them, like a lot of Q&A development and whatnot, and sales for them as well. And then that kind of led me in realizing through games that schooling and that software development is like I'm really good at creating stories and storylines. So I'm a big fan of like open world gaming, and that is what essentially transferred eventually into marketing, creating those customer experiences. And I don't like to say customer journeys because it's not like a singular path, but I essentially provide an experience for the customer or client that allows them to choose their own path. However, they want to get to where they're going to the top of the mountain, that's up to them. But I'm going to give them every which way that's possible to get there so that they have the best experience. And that's essentially what marketing is for people. So that's one thing led to another. And that's kind of how we got started in this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So what is your philosophy? I know that in business, in marketing, just in general, every individual I talk to, it seems like they have certain principles that they follow. I know we've had a couple of conversations before, and I know the customer experience is something you've always touched on, even in our previous conversations. So, what's your theory in terms of I guess let's use the topic of marketing. What's the strand that you believe is a core thing that if someone just does or they get that thing, it kind of like solves a lot of the bigger problems. Do you have any ideas about
Sure.
that?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. So, to me, I truly believe that every successful entrepreneur is always playing. And I like to look at it again, like they're playing in the sense of like they're looking at the world with a very childlike curiosity, right? Nothing is like, oh, I know that already. It's more like, ooh, what does that do? Let's see if that works. Oh, that didn't work, so let me get up and try that, right? If you think about it, children fall down all the time when they're walking, learning to walk. They don't stop. They're like, well, that didn't work. Let's try this. And the most successful entrepreneurs, what I found is that they're continuously doing that. And we hear this all the time, like fail faster. It's a funny coincidence. I'm wearing this shirt actually. That wasn't intentional, but like that's truly the main philosophy of behind what I believe and how I run everything and how I look at the world and everything. Um, as far as what we say outwards, what people like understand is conversations lead to relationships, and that leads to business. So most people start from like the whole let's put them through a funnel and get them to convert and convince them to do business with us. But it's like, no, conversations are what lead to relationships, and relationships lead to the best business possible.
Hmm. Okay, love this. I'm just taking a few notes here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said conversations lead to relationships. That is so powerful because I know a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, they all get caught up in the technology side of things, the funnels, the chatbots, all the different things. And we just closed a really big deal right before I got on the call with you here. And I kind of think back about how this deal happened. And I realized a big part about how it happened is literally through a conversation. Like this person wanted to have a conversation with myself, and I could have pushed them through some type of funnel and say, "Hey, go through this process, this greased chute, in a sense, right? Just go there." But I started having a conversation with them, a back and forth conversation, and from that conversation, it led to a call, and then from the call, it led to a few further on, like future dates. But it turns out after like maybe a 3 month period, today was the day that okay, the sale got closed. And I kind of think back like what happened here because I realized the prospect, that person, the place where they were at in making a decision wasn't so like cut and paste, and really what they were looking for was just like in a sense a relationship, to know that whoever they were going to do business with genuinely cared about them, and they weren't just, I just want to get the sale. So I totally agree with what you say as far as really in terms of what it is. A conversation leads to relationship, and relationship leads to the sale. That's so powerful. And I think that's a piece most people miss, especially in the online space, trying to get with everything automated and all those different things. So I guess the next question becomes, how did you like? What's the what like? Let's take it from the last this year, so 2020, right? What has been your biggest breakthrough in terms of in your business that you've the thing that you've done that's really moved the needle for you for 2020?
Sure, sure. So this year, funny, so a lot of people have a lot of like words for the year, right? That's become like a big thing, I think, in the last couple of years. Like last year, I was about scaling. That was like my word, like scaling, growing, scaling. This year is really, I wanted to double down on relationships because I feel like we scaled, but I feel like we got to a point where like I started kind of feeling like I didn't have the relationships I did with people and like clients and stuff like that anymore. And so, and this is just, I'm just being transparent here, like we all get caught up in our own, like, oh, we're being successful, we're growing. And I felt like I needed to pull myself back a little bit and doubling down on relationships here. That I saw once I started doing that, and showing up more, just the people that I love, right? My family and whatnot more, and showing up to my current colleagues and network, that opened a lot of doors. That opened, again, because of those conversations that I was having with them, it strengthened that relationship, and it helped to open more doors and even more business for me. So although last year was focused on scaling, I would say that in the first 2 quarters well, I guess first quarter, because we're like just the beginning of Q2, that this year, I would say I've scaled more than I did last year when that was my focus, right? So focusing, doubling down on relationships is really what allowed me to move even faster.
Yeah, that is so powerful, man. Relationships are one of the things where it's like one of those shortcuts. I remember reading a book because I've always been fascinated by success and trying to figure out, okay, what's the secret to success, and reading all these different books. And then I remember about my fourth year into like entrepreneurship, the one key the guy said was like, with success, it's more based on who likes you in a sense. And that made no sense to me because I'm like, no, you don't. Success is based on who works harder, who does more, who's more passionate, and that type of stuff. But then when I heard that like success is more based on how many people like you, and that made no sense to me. But then when I really thought about it, and then I looked at all the successful people in my life, I realized that it wasn't that they were really great at doing things or whatever. They were just really good with people. And I watched everyone who's kind of like really progressed, just like I was in the US Marines. I watched one of my gunnery sergeants at the time, I think he was a sergeant, and the way he just moved through the ranks, I was like, what's happening here? Like, why is this happening to him and no one else? But I realized that he came from a frame of people, like he really knew how to deal with people. And because of that, opportunities, everything showed up. So I think you're so totally right. As far as relationships, if anyone doubles down, so if anyone could take it anyway, anything away from this conversation here, that relationship thing is one of the key things, the key pieces that changes everything. So I really appreciate you sharing that here for me, because something I
Sure.
started doing was doing a lot of networking, and with you saying that, that kind of solidified, okay, yeah, keep doing that, keep doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to add to it, I mean, people do forget. I mean, like I said, I forgot. Like, I started getting too focused on the technology and what we're doing, and like, oh, there's this cool new thing that we were trying out and doing for our clients, and it's great. But what really matters at the end of the day is like the relationships that we have with people.
Hmm.
And one of the good things, and here's, I think you and I talked about this when yesterday when you were on like my live, we talked about how networking, like the in-person relationship, will never be the same after this, right? This whole pandemic thing is really gonna change. It's forced us to move away from this whole like, hey, what do you do? Like, that's not a good question to walk up to somebody and start with, right? That's not a conversation. That's a, tell me what value you have to me.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I'm going to look elsewhere. Like, that's essentially what you're telling that person. And that's not a conversation. Like, you don't know who they know. And it's
Right.
better to start with a much more in-depth conversation to get to know the person, and then understand, like, hey, by the way, like, we were chatting so much, like, what is it that you actually do? How do you help people? Because we all know what we're here as business people.
Mhm.
So that's going to forever change because of what's happening. And I'm very grateful for that, to people to be awakened to that finally.
Yeah, perfect. Now, something I always like to get to a question is, what are your values in terms of your business, how you run your business? Because I know that that's one of the most critical pieces with everything we do. Your values, you guys have values, and based on values, people connect on a values level. So, with your values for your company, do you have any kind of values you kind of hold your company up to?
Yeah. So I mean, we have some internal values that we kind of run by.
Mm.
But again, like, it really just boils down to what I truly believe is like the playing part, right? Like, success is play.
Yeah.
And if you're not, I mean, people say this all the time, like, if you're like, uh, have fun, fall in love with what you do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Like, sure, but really what I think people are saying when they mean that, when they say that, what they mean by it is they're saying, just be curious. You being curious about, like, how does this work? How can this be even better?
Mhm.
How can this, like, work in this scenario? How can this work here? How can that is what I think people are talking about, loving the curiosity, like viewing that world from a childlike mentality of, like, just everything is a wonderment. You're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I can put $1 into Facebook ads and get $2 back, get $6 back, gets $10 back. Like, that, a lot of people, like, just overlook that piece. That's just amazing to me to just think about. So, like, that is the foundational If there were any like super core value, that would be it, right? Success is play.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now, in terms of your clients wise, because I know, as you said, you do the paid advertising, the paid ads. Um, where's someone typically at when they should need your services? Where are they typically at on their journey?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, where's a prospect, maybe someone who might need your services? Where are they typically at on their journey? Are they just getting started? Are they selling any type of products already? Where are they typically at until they need your services?
Sure, sure. So I don't believe that advertising works, period, for everyone.
Hmm.
The issue is most people that are at the startup phase don't have the funds to back up, because it does take a little bit to get back. It's not like it's not pixie dust. It's not like hey, I'm going to wave a magic wand, put an ad out there, and I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow.
Hmm.
That doesn't happen that way. The people that are the most successful with advertising, like paid traffic, Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff like that, are the ones who have already have success to the point of they're very successful offline, right? They can do a lot organically online as well,
Hmm.
and they have that following. They've built. They understand who their people are and what they want. Again, it always goes back to fundamentals, right? I feel like this theme comes up a lot. Is knowing who you serve and how you serve them is the most important, and knowing like all of those little pieces is what turns ads into profit machines.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So, do you have any type of because I know there's a lot of individuals in my audience who they've either thinking about getting started with ads or curious about how ads work and all these different things, or some who maybe even have gotten started, but they want to kind of figure out, okay, how do I improve the results I'm getting? Do you have any type of resources that you could share
Sure,
with
sure.
individuals?
Yeah. So I have kind of like a bundle that it's completely free. It's like the 3 worksheets you'll need to really be successful online. The first is our Facebook ads checklist, right? This is how we craft high converting ads. It could also, I've also used the same checklist to create and high converting engagement posts, like organic posts, right? I use the same process. Now, the second worksheet in there is like an organic content mapping, because an ad is great, but if you don't have like content to back that up, then it's not as powerful. And then, so that worksheet is in there too. And then finally, how to craft a perfect client magnet. A lot of people are like, great, I wish I could attract my perfect client. Well, like, how do you do that? You need something that you can give them that helps them create momentum. Essentially, give them a piece of a cookie. If you were to walk up to them and say, hey, do you want a Girl Scout cookie box? Like, put your hand in here. They're like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll take that. And then you offer them, you're like, hey, do you want some milk to go with that? They don't need it, but it makes that cookie experience that much better.
Mhm.
So give them the cookie, and that's what that worksheet does, helps you craft the cookie to give to your perfect client so that you can offer them milk afterwards. um, and if you go to bentobot.com/bundle, you can get all those 3 worksheets for free. Just that way you're able to get started and start attracting those ideal clients, interacting with them, and engaging with them, and elevating them so that you can finally convert into your programs or services.
Hmm. Perfect. Love it. Love it. So, guys, and if you're watching this on the replay as well, too, the link should be right below this video where you could go get the resources for free. And Victor, I got one more question, right? So I always
Sure.
like to ask this question. What is the one skill you've done, you feel like you've either developed something that you didn't have before, but you've kind of developed that you, if you look back on your entire life, that you think got you to the level of success that you've created for yourself? Can you think back on any one skill that, I know there's quite a few, but if you had to just narrow it down and say, hey, that's the one that's really stands out for me, is there any one you would say that you've mastered that got you to your level of success?
Yeah, I would say the skill of conversation.
Hmm.
Like, it conversations, if you know how to have a really good conversation with somebody that leads to another, you're golden, you're set. Because that not only works in like the real world face to face, but that also works, translate that into ads, into social media. That's all that is. It's
Hmm.
just faster there. There's just more people there. So having really good, knowing how to have really good conversations and keep a conversation going is probably one of the most uh, like one of the most successful skills that I've been able to use and to help me become successful myself.
Yeah, yeah, that is so powerful, man. Because it's so simple. Because at the end of the day, the way we get stuff is through other people, and the quickest way to get some stuff, which means that just have the conversation. Just figure out how do you have actual conversation with someone, which is it's so simple, but most people overcomplicate the whole process, right?
Yep. Yeah, like everyone's focused on this new tactic. Oh, chatbots, they're great, but like conversations, like
Yeah.
simple and fundamentals is really what we're all about too. So like that's you don't need the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe later, but you don't. Most of the time, you don't need it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Well, Victor, I
Of
know you're
course.
busy, but thank you so much for being on here. Thank you so much for sharing this pretty valuable resource as well too. Really appreciate it. And do you have any final thoughts before we end here?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
Sure, sure. Again, if I could, if anyone takes anything away, if they take nothing away but this,
Uh-huh.
make sure that when you have a conversation with somebody, really pay attention to try to summarize what they're saying to you and just say that back to them. I promise you that's going to help you to listen better so that you can actually have a better conversation with people that leads to more conversations. And that will just open doors for you.
There we go, guys. Powerful stuff. Again, it's simple, but it's pretty powerful. Highly
Yeah.
recommend trying it out. Yeah. Well, Victor, hey, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch, okay?
Sure. Awesome. Thank you so much, Extus. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.